134 billion naira contract awarded under emergency rule by former sole administrator Vice Admiral Ikot Ete Ibas has been revoked, and the government is now demanding a refund of 20 billion naira already paid to the contractor, China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation. This isn't just about money. It's about accountability, governance, and the rule of law. Joining us this morning for the discussion is constitutional lawyer Evans Ufeli as we unpack the implications of this development. Thank you very much, Mr. Ufeli, for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Good morning to you. Thank you.
All right, so now 134 billion naira. Before this conversation, or this latest development, there were calls for every money spent during the sole administrator's time to be reviewed and sort of a thorough investigation, and now this has come out. Would you say that, first of all, let's get your thoughts on it before I go to my next question, because my next question was to ask if the same rules apply in terms of administering projects during its regular democratic rule, because I don't know if to call what happened under the Vice Admiral a democratic rule.
It's an aberration.
Well, but if the same rules apply for awarding a contract, well, let's get your initial reaction to the story.
Yeah, if you look at what the what do you call it, the permanent secretary said about the project, that the process was not followed, okay, and it was done hurriedly, more like the sole administrator was just eager to award contracts, okay, and so because of that, the State Executive Council came together and said that they will have to, withdraw that contract for so many reasons, and they will have to pre-qualify. They're going to open it for another bidding process. So the irregularities associated with the way it was awarded is what instigated what has happened. But apart from that, everything the sole administrator did under the law was illegal in the first place. So if they are cherry picking one or two that maybe appear even badly, everything was bad, you understand? So the ones that maybe strike the chords, okay, and then they are picking that. And remember, it's not Fubara, because when I read the news, it was like Fubara withdrew, the State Executive Council. That means the governor, and the minister, commissioners rather, and some of the permanent secretaries in the ministries, okay? So that constitutes what you call State Executive Council. And it is their right to so do if anything has been done. Because first, the sole administrator didn't have the mandate of the people to govern them. So anything he has done under the process, the 6 months, was actually illegal. But if they are saying this particular, and they've asked for what do you call a refund, I think of 20 billion naira initial, 20 billion naira paid for the contract. They've asked for that. So with investigations like this, we'll get to understand really what must have transpired. And if anybody have done anything untoward, that refund will reveal more things to us.
Now, Barrister Ufeli, we do understand, like you said, that what happened in Rivers State was not constitutional.
Yes.
Having said that, given that the order given to the sole administrator was to restore peace and keep the peace in Rivers State, did he have any business awarding contracts to the tune of 120 billion in the first place? And what could spur this sort of urgency, knowing that you're only going to be there, your initial assignment was for 6 months?
Yeah, that is what we're talking about, and that is why the probe is necessary, because his assignment is actually how be it unconstitutional, the illegal assignment, let me put it that way, reposed on him was to bring peace, and to bring the warring parties to order. Do you know that he never did that? But before the appointment, immediately after the appointment, he talked about the fact that he's going to call all parties together, they will be on a round table, they will make sure that peace, reign and the rest of that. But when he took the mantle of leadership, that assignment was was kept aside.
Abuja called them, so he probably thought it was unnecessary.
No. Abuja called them not. That was at the tail end of the conversation. At the beginning, the man was much more interested in the resource of the state the management of the resource than he was of the crisis there. You know, saying you want to put an end to the crisis when it is the crisis that actually gave you the windfall. You know, he played the game there because from what I see, not like peace has even returned to the state. So what exactly has it done?
He conducted elections, local government elections.
The elections,
they were peaceful.
The elections he conducted.
Peaceful election.
No, the elections he conducted, I don't know whether anybody has challenged them, but in the eyes of the law, they are not proper before the law. But you know, the law is not going to enforce itself. Unless someone have to, you know, file a case, then move the hand of the court to determine whether or not those elections are proper or improper. But
I mean, you in your response now, you have just said you're wondering what the Vice Admiral did because it's not like peace has returned to Rivers State. But many would disagree with you. There doesn't seem to be chaos right now. Or what should have been in place to convince you that peace has returned to Rivers State?
Well, for now, the warring parties they appear to have sheathed their sword and all that. But what I mean by peace, peace in the sense of there's a probe ongoing, okay? There are so many irregularities he introduced whilst he was trying to make peace or while he was trying to bring the state to normalcy. So these irregularities, one of them is the 34 billion naira we're talking about today. There are other issues. I mean, the government in power today will review everything that was done under the sole administrator. Not like the sole administrator even impressed. I do not think so, because it doesn't look so too. I don't think the guy impressed Wike or the president, because you know the president summoned him not too long ago. I don't know that we're aware. Yes, the president, yes, he had a one-on-one meeting with the president not too long ago. And I do not think that he actually impressed the president, and Wike could not complain because they brought it upon themselves. They had to even set up a committee, 21-member committee at the National Assembly to monitor to oversight him, because at some point he was going overboard and the rest of that. And he has come out to say that he should not be probed.
So that's another issue.
So that's another question,
He said it, that yes, he is trying to stop that probe. But it's not possible, because there must be an audit, okay, of his conduct, financial and otherwise. Okay, everything, there must be an audit. And that audit is critical, it's important.
So the oversight is not enough?
No, the oversight is not enough now, because the oversight is not looking into the books. The oversight is only looking at his conduct, what he's doing and what he's not doing, and he has to be under watch. He has to feed the committee back as to what he intends to do and what he's doing and but as to looking into the details, okay, of what he did, you know, during the pendency of the emergency rule, it's one that calls for serious review, which National Assembly oversight couldn't have taken. And it's important that now that the state is looking into the records proper, so the days to come will determine his stewardship.
But the 20 billion already given, paid for contracts to be done, can the state actually get it back? Is it possible?
Yeah, that's the issue of the law of contracts. Because contract is where you have the meeting of minds of the offeror and the offeree. And then you have acceptance in between. Okay, the reason they even commenced the work was because there was an acceptance. There was consideration. Consideration is the money paid. Okay, and there was intention to create legal relationship. That's the document signed. So all the elements of contracts have already been reached. Okay, but in contract, there's also, you can rescind contracts. Okay, that is if in the contract document there's a clause stating that if the state, you know, whatever it is. So I don't know I don't have the contract with me, but I know that when you are going into a contract with the state, it's always documented, and there are clauses that may vitiate the contract. Okay, and the conditions and terms must be followed. So it's a question of the nature of the contract. that whether they will get the money back or not.
The full sum.
Yes, whether they will get it back or not is a question of the kind of agreement they entered into. Okay, in the contract, was it stated anywhere that either party can revoke the contract and ask for a refund? If it is there and both parties agree, then they will get the full money. But if it's not there, or if it's there that either party can revoke the contract, but there must be consideration as to work already done, or logistics and all that already mobilized, and the rest of that, then you will only get 30%. There are a lot of contracts like that. Most real estate contracts, if you want to revoke it, your money can be refunded to you, but it will be short of 30% or whatever it is you have paid.
Yeah.
So all those terms and conditions, yes, the state will abide by the terms and conditions in the contract. It is the contract that determines what will be the outcome.
All right. Let's talk about the president, because 134 billion naira will have not been approved to sole administrator if the president did not appoint a sole administrator in the first place, if there wasn't an emergency rule. Where does the president come into play in all of this, and how do you think the presidency should react or respond?
Well, now that we have gone back to proper democracy, the president have no role here because the states are autonomous. Okay? So it is the state's executive council that can deal with that issue. Do you know that even a commissioner cannot award that amount? You understand? The volume. A commissioner cannot award that amount. And so it is only
134
SEC.
billion.
Yes, it's only SEC, the State Executive Council, that can actually approve that amount. You understand? In conjunction with the State House of Assembly. But in this case, there was no State House of Assembly. There was no State House of Assembly.
So can it be termed to be illegal?
It's illegal. You see, there's nothing you can discuss about this subject matter that's not illegal. You see how we do. No, you see how we do it here. Each time we trying to talk law.
Yeah.
But the moment you are about to get into law, you just backtrack that. The whole thing is even illegal in the first place because expenditure is determined by the
State Assembly.
House of Assembly.
And there was none.
There was none at the time.
But it was said that
the
the National Assembly, the committee, would act as a state assembly.
Yeah.
So that means this 134 billion, can we say that the House of Assembly committee that was set up?
You are right under the law where there's no State House of Assembly. You know, the provision of the law is that
the National Assembly.
Yes, the National Assembly will take over and provide that function for the state under reference. But whether that was reached or whether that approval is a different issue entirely, we cannot tell because we are not there and we don't know whether that approval came from them. But the question, another question there is that even if the approval came from them, can the substantive governor with its SEC members revoke it even though it has legislative approval? That's another one. So that's another question. So that's why I said the days to come will determine whether or not. We are just talking this today. Nobody knows whether the contractors will go to court to say we can't refund because we have the authority, and nobody knows. Okay, so whatever it is they decide is a dispute. I mean, whatever it is they decide will determine whether or not they are getting the money back.
Okay, so what will be the next steps here?
Yes, the demand has been made.
Okay.
So, I mean, they will do a letter to the company under reference, making the demand, which they've done. You understand? Then the company will respond. Okay? So from there, they'll take it further.
Now, talking about accountability and looking at the stewardship of Vice Admiral Ibas, in 6 months, feelings we're getting is that he's adamant and he's not willing to appear, to be summoned. The last communication was that Governor Fubara can't summon him. How do you force this sort of accountability? How do you force him to give stewardship of his reign as sole administrator in those 6 months? And why is it important to do so? Because on his head, he will be thinking that, look, there I was enjoying my retirement, and Mr. President called me to take up a national assignment, and I did it in the best, in my own patriotic spirit. And now you're asking, I was doing you a favor. Now you want to probe me.
No, nobody's above the law. Nobody's above probe. or give account of your stewardship. Nobody's above that. You understand? Do you know that this same person, when he assumed office, he summoned Fubara? We discussed it here. When it's someone, we were saying that, what authority do you have to summon not for peace, not for peacekeeping or what, not like it's someone in both sides, say, come, it's someone the governor. You understand? So now you're saying that you cannot be someone, you don't want to be someone and the rest of that. He said it, that it should not be probed and all that. He's trying to do all necessary to say. The moment you accept an appointment, okay, it comes with every other thing. You cannot just take the appointment and then you say you should not be probed and the rest of that. There's no way that will happen, because there must be an auditing process as to what you have done before now.
In 6 months.
Yes, it's not a family business. This is governance. You understand? Even if the governor does not summon you for probe, the state, the citizens can put up an inquiries. Yes, through the FOI and the rest of that, they can demand to know what went down within the 6 months when he was leading the state and all that. So they have a right. And the State House of Assembly, too, have a right to summon him, because most of those functions, if it were the governor that carried out those functions, the governor cannot carry out those functions in isolation of the State House of Assembly. Because we're talking about a budget now. We're talking about what led to all this, that Fubara was presenting budget to 3 members and all that. It shouldn't be so. Later, we out all the issues, the problem, and the rest of that. So you notice you are spending from budget, and even when there was crisis in the state, the governor couldn't have even spent resources without, presenting a budget, even to 3 members. You understand? So if it's the same budget you are spending from, the same state resource that you are spending from, because whatever it is they gave to him, it's part of the revenue allocation of that state. Not like they gave him fresh, because people are saying that between that 6 months, this is the amount, it's a huge amount of money he received. But that money is not just free money from the federal government, it was a state allocation. Yes, it was a state allocation that they gave to him. And now the state allocations have been increased, because according to the government, the subsidy funds that were saved up, they are giving it to governors every day. And that's why the governors are falling up on top of themselves, joining APC.
That's one question we'd love to ask.
Yes, yeah, that's why now we now have a one-party state levy.
We'll come back to probing to that further. Let's go on a very quick break. And when we come back, the conversation will take a different turn. Stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still looking at the state of the nation and exploring some of the latest happenings. And this time, the conversation takes a different turn. We're looking at the latest regarding the clemency awarded by the president. And I think the question that comes to mind is, can you unpardon a pardon? Benga?
I beg your pardon?
We have with us
In what world?
In what world? We have Barrister Evans Ofeli, who's a constitutional lawyer, and will give us a legal perspective into how this is run. Now, Mr. Ofeli, you were aware of the 175 names.
Yes.
They hit social media, they hit the media. There was public backlash. Backlash first because of the names, certain names that had made the list. Criticism and analysis. Yes, we recognize that the president has the constitutional right to exercise his prerogative of mercy, and it's called prerogative for a reason. But the question was, some names seemed very questionable on the list. Now, we had Mr. Temitope Ajayi on the show, and we talked about this. He said that that there was a committee constituted of different stakeholders who reviewed the list and presented this list. Now, this was presented to the president. But we're now hearing the latest update from the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice. He says the presidential pardon list is currently at the final administrative stage, which involves reviewing the names and recommendations. Reviewing the names and recommendations, we had thought that the pardon was already granted.
Yes, the pardon ought to have been granted even before it is released to the public. But what you have now is a discordance, because if you look at Section 175 of the Constitution, it empowers the president to grant clemency. Therefore, prerogative of mercy is an executive remedy, executive solution, What it does is that there are certain consideration that is required where perhaps the person involved, that is the ex-convict now, or the convict, maybe there was a wrong conviction, or maybe the person was rightfully convicted and now is very remorseful of the offense, and there are a lot of other factors, that must have constituted the fact that such remedy is critical. Maybe the person is very ill, okay, and the rest of them. There's so many factors. Yeah, the person have children that have been, and all that. So when you have all that, that will be consideration. It is the president's prerogative, truly, but it should be exercised judicially and judiciously. Okay, it should be exercised judicially and judiciously. So where you now have names of persons who contributed to the breakdown of society, who contributed immensely to where we find ourselves today, okay, then you now see names flying all over the place. The likes of Lawan, the likes of James Ivori and the rest of that. A lot of names. The other lady that murdered the husband, many names like that. People are saying that you are going to use this to embolden people who commit offenses when they know that they can actually apply for prerogative of mercy and the rest of that. They will not, be cautious of how they conduct themselves in society. And first, it is not just the president. A committee was set up. The Attorney General is there. And the Council of State. The Council of State being the highest advisory body in the country.
So they had two justices.
Yeah, you have justice, you have past president, all past presidents, IGs of police, then that constitute the State Council of State. Their input was also there, you understand? But the Attorney General just came out recently to say that it's under review. That is after the public outcry, that this power is not supposed to be used this way. There's an abuse of the power. That's what people are saying, and people are not happy with the number, that the number is too much.
175.
Yes, and that the persons that populated that list are not even persons that ought to get it. There's a young man that was convicted not too long ago in Adamawa State.
Yes, Jackson.
Yes. I'm not sure he made the list.
He didn't.
Yes.
He didn't make the list.
Kind of person.
In self-defense.
Yes.
Yeah,
Somebody, yes. You know that the conviction was painful. You understand? So those are the kind of people where there have been maybe some moral issues around a very difficult situation, and it led to someone committing an offense and the rest of that. Those are issues. And maybe there is serious ailment and the rest of that. But what the Attorney General is doing now appears to me like damage control. Okay? Because it's going to rewrite the rules, or is about to rewrite the rules as I see them, because if the president has pardoned someone, the person stands pardon. Okay? There is no provision in the Constitution that says that pardon can be revoked. There's no provision where it says that it can be revoked. It is a part, but the Attorney General also has his own powers. You understand? To grant, to take over and discontinue criminal matter. That is during the pendency of it. That's before conviction. But once conviction happens, it's only the president that can, the president and the governor. President for federal offenses and the governor for state offenses.
So that means the Attorney General has a right to intervene in the case of Nnamdi Kanu?
Very well. He can take over and discontinue it. He can discontinue completely. You understand? But after conviction, it's only the president that can, grant prerogative of mercy.
What about the argument for decongesting our prisons? Because we do know that we have an overcrowded prison problem in Nigeria, and some have argued that this prerogative of mercy is a way of decongesting the prisons. Isn't this something positive?
Yeah, it's a way. Yeah, it's a way of decongesting the prison, except that it is only the well-to-do that we are not decongesting. If the idea is to decongest the prison, then anybody whose case borders on, those issues aforementioned, the person should be able to get it.
Awaiting trial for a long time, issues like that.
Yes. No, those ones that are awaiting trial.
Yes. Oh,
the Attorney
convicted.
General, yes,
Yes.
the Attorney General can take over and discontinue those ones, yes. But for the ones that have been condemned already, because even the lady that killed
Killed her husband.
killed her husband, yes, she's going to be there because first, once you are condemned, you are taken to the cell where they keep condemned people, and you'll be waiting for the hangman. Nobody knows when the hangman is going to come. But the problem we have in Nigeria is that first, governors have not been signing.
They don't want ghosts to come and visit them.
Yes, they've not been signing executive warrants. That's one. Two, even when they sign, there's no hangman in the country as we speak. Okay, yes.
And you sir complain about unemployment.
People should go and get those jobs. I mean, the hangman.
Are you serious?
Yes. So are you? No hangman. So we have not been executing people. The last time it happened was in Edo State some years
Under
ago.
Oshomole.
Yes. So nobody is going to kill anybody. The person will just be there, until maybe
feeding
something
the person,
like,
taking care of the person.
Yes. They'll be feeding and taking care of the person. So until there's anything like this, maybe a prerogative of mercy, or you apply for pardon and the rest of that. That is the only way you can get it. Because people have argued that we should take death sentence out of our laws because we're not even using it. We're not even we complain that the prisons are filled up. They are filled up with persons whose cases have been concluded. Yes, whose cases have been concluded. All governors are dodging it. Nobody is ready to sign any death.
Why are they dodging it?
Spiritual connotations. Do you want to be the person that sent somebody to heaven or hell?
Also,
That
because
is
there's
taking
public
someone's life.
backlash, not just like in the West, in other parts of the continent, the abolitionists.
Okay,
that
what
I believe
about terrorists and murderers? I mean,
in the prison cell, you have some who are equally terrorists. who have
Very
been
well,
convicted.
yes. You have a lot of persons who have been convicted that just, they are there. So the prisons will always be congested as long as we are not following through the process.
Okay, Barrister Feli, since the dawn of this present democratic experience, since 1999, have we ever had the president exercise this prerogative of mercy? And why is this such a big deal now? And why is it causing this amount of uproar in public?
Jonathan exercised the prerogative of mercy when he pardoned Alamesia. Yes, so even in the West, Trump in his first term, released a lot of, granted pardon to a lot of persons and all that. So it's a function that is a prerogative of the president to so do. We've always had this situation, even in our democratic engagement. It's legal, but that window should not be abused. That's what I'm saying. It's legal. The window should not be abused.
Is there a cap as to how many times you can exercise in a presidential term?
No, there's none. It's just open for the president. That's why it's called anything that has to do with prerogative.
Your
So
discretion.
you can do like 3
it's
times in a year.
flexible.
And that makes me wonder, 175 at a go. Maybe the president had done the likes of Herbert Macaulay and so on, do with them, then later on come back and do the next
You haven't
one.
asked him about that because
There's no law that said that he should do it.
It's okay.
In any
He can choose to do it whichever way he wants.
Yes,
to.
in any
Besides,
structure.
175 can't just be poetic. 175 based on section 175.
Well,
maybe.
Only if I don't
What do you
understand
make
that.
of going as far back as colonial times? Because I'm pardoning the likes of Herbert Macaulay.
yes, because the stigma still rests on the family, even though it was.
Yeah, but it
it's a
wasn't the federal
nationalist-
government of Nigeria as
Yeah,
constituted
it's not
today.
the federal government of Nigeria. Well, the man is a nationalist, okay? If you have him even in your currency, it shows that he's someone that made impact,
Yeah.
okay? And then have been convicted by the colonial authorities and all that for leading protests, for activism and advocacy. You understand? So it is not out of place.
What of Kensari Rua?
to-
Shouldn't there have
to-
been an accompanying apology?
Yeah, that's a different conversation entirely. It has to do with apology because the president also sent delegates to, in his own case, to, and
good
the
enough.
clause there is that they want to resume oil exploration. Yeah, that is
That same place.
Yes,
Yeah.
the delegates, because since 1993, 92, till now, nobody has gone there to try anything oil exploration, okay? And it's actually a very rich area. So some persons have argued that the president all he needed to do is just to pardon you understand, and not talk about that going
Oil
back.
exploration.
Yeah, for now, until, you know, because tempers are very high over there.
They should read the room.
As to what has happened so far.
All right.